Welcome to episode 2 of Property Mama Adventures in Real Estate. Hope you're having a great day wherever you might be. If we've not met before, my name is Wendy Chamberlain. I am a buyer's advocate and seller's advocate, vendor advocate here in Melbourne, Australia. And we work with clients to help them on the journey when they're looking to buy a property or sell their home. In last week's episode, you would have seen that we talked about the adventures we had when we were buying a property off market for a client. And that particular renter, if you want to go back and listen to that, recording, she threw a beer bottle at the drone that we put up. Well, the adventure continues. So here in Victoria, when you buy real estate, you are entitled to a final inspection. Now, I shared that we provided a longer settlement time to make sure that the renters were going to be exited out of the property. There were 4 people living in the home. There was 2 guys and a lady, this lady and her daughter. So we contacted the real estate agent to organise the final inspection, which was supposed to happen on Monday just gone. And no, the female renter is refusing to leave the property. Yes, that's right. She's refusing to leave. She's been given notice to vacate, which means she legally has to leave. She has to leave the premises, but she's just decided she doesn't want to do that. So some fun and games happening there. We are still trying to work out how we can get the tenant out of the particular property. The settlement is supposed to be this Monday. That's not going to happen. We're going to have to move the settlement because what you don't want to do is inherit a problem. We purchased this property on the contract. We put subject to vacant possession, which means that the seller of the property is required to provide that property with a vacant possession of the property. And that means nobody living there. So our clients are amazing first home buyers. They want to live in this home. They don't want to inherit a tenant, which at the moment is what would be the case. So we're going through that process at the moment. The real estate agent is working through trying to get the renter out of the property. It goes into the hands of the lawyers, basically. So we're going to continue to move the settlement until the property is confirmed as vacant. Then we need to do a final inspection. So usually around about a week or so before you settle a property, which is taking ownership of the property, you do a final inspection. And it's at the final inspection is where you do a walkthrough and you're checking to make sure that everything is as it was when you first, when you inspected the property and signed the contract. Now, you need to be careful here because if something is not working, unless you checked that it was working at the time you signed the contract, you've got no right of reply at all. So a little tip for you, when you are inspecting a property to buy the property, if you want to make sure things are working, like turning on the lights, checking range hoods, checking the gas is working, hot water service, all those types of things, that has to be checked at the time of or before signing the contract. Because once a contract is signed and if something is not working, it's buyer beware. You have to get that kind of stuff sorted beforehand. I remember we bought a few years ago, we bought a 1-bedroom flat for a client and the range hood at the final inspection wasn't working. Now, she had checked it when we had signed the contract and it was working. So under those terms of the contract, that vendor had to make sure that the range hood was working or replaced with something that was going to be working. And so we got that one through. However, if you haven't done these checks and when you're signing the contract, basically you're buying the property as is. So that's why you do a final inspection. So we were looking to organise that final inspection on Monday, gone because next Monday is when settlement is, but we haven't been able to do that because the renter is refusing to leave. So it becomes a bit of a tricky, complicated process. Let's see what happens. I'll keep you updated. So I run a buyer's advocacy called Chamberlain Property Advocates, and what we do is we support our clients to buy real estate with heart. The purchasing process should be one where it is an enjoyable process. We remove that stress for our clients. So that is what we do. We also are vendor advocates, which is the seller's advocate, which means we work with a client who might be looking to sell their home. And you might go, well, isn't that what a real estate agent does? And yes, it is. We step in to support our seller working with a real estate agent. And there's been quite a few adventures and shenanigans along the way in that kind of arena. So I was going to share with you today some of those adventures. It makes me smile. It makes me laugh. The things that happen, sometimes you'd go, do you know your lips are moving? Do you actually... Should that have been an inside thought, not an outside thought? It's actually quite interesting, quite funny. So I wanted to share with you a little adventure we had with some clients, amazing, beautiful people, some older clients that were looking to downsize, and they were looking to sell their property in Nunawading, which is an area out through the east here in Melbourne. And they were looking to downsize. They wanted to have a sea change. And so they'd lived in the home, goodness, I think at least 40 years lived in the home. Now, we all know, we all live in houses. You know, you accumulate stuff. So you just accumulate stuff. Little treasures, memories, we attach onto stuff. So it can take a little bit of time to work through that process and declutter your home, rehome stuff, throw stuff out, whatever you need to do. And so when I first got in contact with this particular couple, their son actually suggested they speak to us to help and support them with selling, because, as I said, they'd lived in this home. So basically it was the family home that they'd purchased. They'd had their family, raised their family. The family had grown up, left. And so it was time for them. The home became too big for them. It was time for them to downsize. And they wanted to have a sea change. So they obviously had been, over the course of thinking about this, and this is what often happens when we're looking to sell our property, where it is going to be a downsizing option. This can take a number of months, even a number of years for, I suppose, you to warm to the idea, decide what you want to do, because it's overwhelming. When you look at a house of stuff, and this is all of your treasures and your memories in your home, it's a lot, because not only do you have to box all that up and move it out, to sell your home, if you're going to stay in your home while the selling process is happening, you need to declutter, because what you need to present to the incoming purchaser is their ability to see themselves living in that home. Right now it's your home and it's got all of your memories and treasures and pictures and things like that. People don't want to see that. They want to be able to put themselves into the home and see themselves living in the home. So they had been starting the declutter process by the time that the son contacted me and I got in touch with them to help them on this process. Now, at the same time, they had a couple of real estate agents that basically had been surfing around them, touching base with them over a number of months. So by the time I spoke to them, it'd probably been 12 months that these couple of agents had been constantly just touching base, because obviously the house was eventually going to get sold, and so they were just touching base. And it's interestingly, because in the market that we're in, because real estate markets, sometimes they're up, sometimes they're down. There are better markets, there are poorer markets, and that's just the ebb and flow of real estate. And look, most people, generally you can pick when a market is peaked or the bottom of a market when you're out of the market, because you can look and have a look at what it was. So as we were having a conversation, the market was actually going really, really well. And so I think it was May of whatever year it was, I was talking to them, and the market was doing well. Actually, it might have been, no, I think it was November. It was November of the year before. And the market was doing well. They still needed the time. They wanted to get Christmas out. Have one last Christmas in the property. And they wanted to have the time to do that decluttering. And they'd started to do it. And like, it's a big job, like I say. You can get a skip in there, throw stuff in that. You've got to rehome, repurpose, all the things. And so they were just pottering along doing that, which is all good. And I'd actually walked through the home with them in relation to the things to say to them, what can stay for the purposes of having the home presented for the sale. I suggested to them, do this, fix this, because that's what we do as well. We will help a person that is selling the home, just let them know what can stay. Obviously, they'll have to move it out once the home is sold. But what can stay, what really needs to go, because we have a lot of stuff. And so the stuff needs to go, but larger items or couches and side tables and things like that, generally we can present those as part of the sale. And so we did that walkthrough and so forth. And then it was a number of months, and I would just touch base with them, how they're going, and they were doing things, blah, 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 blah. So we got to the point where they were ready to put their home on the market. Ripper. I think that was May by that point. Now, the market had turned insofar as the market wasn't as great. It actually had come off a little bit. But it is what it is. People often ask me, when's the best time to buy or sell? The best time to buy or sell is when you are ready to buy or sell. Because depending on your purpose of your reasons for buying the piece of real estate and how long you're going to stay there, these things determine what kind of property you might be buying, where you might be buying, the state of the home, etc. So if you're buying a property and you're going to be living in there in 10 plus years, so the market really, generally, it's pretty forgiving. So, and plus they're downsizing. So for them, it's like, when are you ready to go? Because what happens with people that want to downsize, particularly when they get older, is that the home becomes unmanageable. So this was a home on land, a typical suburban block, and the home was too big for them. They didn't want the maintenance to continue, and they wanted their sea change. They wanted to retire down the beach, which is great. So as part of the process in us supporting our clients when they're looking to sell, we conduct an interview process of local real estate agents to basically work out who we think would be the best real estate agent to come in and help sell the property for the client. And that's often dependent on the type of property, etc. Also, where a client has already been contacting real estate agents, we ask the question, would you like us to bring them into the mix and have a conversation with them? And sometimes it's a yes, sometimes it's a no. And they said, sure. So these two agents that have been hanging around, contacting them over the last 12 months, they said, yep, happy for me to set up the interview. So we set up an interview process around about 45 minutes where we invite the agent into the home. They have a look at the home. When we sit them down and we run them through their paces, we've got a list of questions that we ask them. And I guess the crux of the matter is, why should you, Mr. and Mrs. Real Estate Agent, be appointed to sell this particular home? And so oftentimes, my clients, I say, do you want to sit in on the process? And they said, no, you just handle it. So 90% of the time, they just let me conduct the interview process, and I speak to the real estate agents, and then I'll make my notes, do my summary, and then I'll report back. So yes, they said they're happy for me to speak to those two real estate agents, all fine. And I said, look, I'd also like to bring a couple of others in, just to have a conversation with them as well. They said, that's fine. So I spoke to 4. Generally, we only speak to a couple, possibly 3, but in this case, we did speak to 4 because they already had those 2 and they wanted to include those. And I brought in another couple that I thought might be good candidates for listing the property and helping to get the property sold. So made the time to sit down and have the agents, and I spaced them out because, look, particularly this is an owner-occupied home, so it's a little bit easier insofar as they're coming to the home, so the owners, like, they disappear. They don't even necessarily want to meet the agents a lot of the time. I'm happy for them to do that. I'm happy for them to sit and interview, which some do, but most of them are happy they make themselves scarce, basically. So they come in, I look at a time, they come in, look at the property, sit down, we do the interview process. If it is a property that is an investment property, it's got a renter in there, that's a little bit trickier because we need to, we respect that home is the renter's home. And so we try and, we basically do a 30-minute walkthrough, and I have to get all the agents in there together. We make a time with the renter to say where the property is going to be put on the market, and I need to bring some agents through to have a look at the home, and then I'll conduct the interview outside of the premises somewhere. And that's a bit trickier insofar as you've got all the agents in there together. Now, like they play nicely, shall we say. Look, most of the agents in the area know each other. The challenge that I sometimes find with that is where they know basically who else is going to be pitching for the listing is that oftentimes when we then sit down separately, we don't sit down together with all the agents, we sit down separately, they will often mention the other real estate agent and the other real estate agency and throw them under the bus. They'll say things about them, oh, we're better because they do this, or we're... Now, I don't know. Personally, I don't feel that anybody needs to throw anyone under the bus. So if the way that you want to win a listing is to throw your competitor under the bus, I don't think you're the best person for the listing, because you should be confident and knowledgeable in your own self, in your own knowledge of your ability to get a house sold, and it shouldn't matter who else is interviewing. If you're the best guy or girl for the job, then you'll win it regardless. There's no need for this thing. So it's a little bit more trickier when we have to do it with a renter in place, because people get to see each other. So when it's an owner-occupier, I make times and I stagger the time so that I can hopefully finish the interview process, the person leaves, and there's a little bit of a gap before the next person comes in. It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes they see themselves coming and going and they say hi and they're all friendly and all that kind of stuff. But like I say, there is a little bit of that sometimes happens, which really I don't like, I don't appreciate. It's not necessary. And I think it says a lot about the character of the person. So anyway, we sit down and I'd organise for these 4 agents to sit down. So the first agent sits down, that's all fine. Ran to the paces, all good. Second agent comes in, sits down, and this is interesting. So some real estate agencies have partnered with mortgage brokers. That's fine, because most people purchasing property are going to have some kind of bank financing of some description. So here in Australia, we have banks and we have mortgage brokers. The mortgage brokers basically work with the banks, that have panels of banks, or you can go directly to your bank. But either, that's someone you can approach to help with your financing. So some real estate agencies have joined forces with particular mortgage broking firms, and they have it there as an add-on, as a support to anybody they're working with who may need financing to buy a property. They can talk to their mortgage brokers who may be in-house or someone that they have struck up an agreement with. That's fine. What was interesting about this one was, this particular lady, real estate agent, she came in, she sat down, we're chatting about it, I'm asking all the questions and all that's great. And she brought it up about the fact that they have basically an alliance, that's the word I'm looking for, an alliance with a real estate, they're the real estate agent, an alliance with a mortgage broking company. And she said, it's really great because we have the mortgage brokers, they're on site when the open for inspections are being conducted. And they've got their banner there at the door, and anybody that's been to a property inspection here may have seen that banner at the door, or there's somebody there who is a mortgage broker, and they take your details and that kind of thing. She says it's really great because it's providing the support for our buyers. And I said, oh yeah, that's good. And she said, oh yeah, and it's really good because we can talk to the mortgage broker who has all the details of the buyers that have inspected the home, and we can find out their budget. And I went, oh, what now? She said, yeah, it's really good. We can find out the budget. We know the budget of what the purchaser has to spend. And so we know that we can push them. And so when they might be saying that they've got 800,000 to spend and they've been approved for 830, we know that we can push them. And we know that we can get more money out of them because we know that they've been approved for more budget. And I was just smiling going, oh, okay. And I'm thinking, you know, that's super unethical, right? Maybe even bordering on illegal. I don't know. But and I'm also thinking, yeah, you know, your lips are moving. You know, the words are coming out, and you're telling me that you buyers coming through your property, you shoo them over and channel them into speaking to the mortgage broker that you're aligned with, and then that mortgage broker basically breaches the privacy of the client and shares with the real estate agent trying to get the property sold what the budget is. And I went, oh, okay. All right. And I'm thinking, I just kept chatting to her. I thought, this is interesting. Yes, keep talking. Keep talking. Wow. Okay. And so, you know, she's a nice enough lady, but that's probably not the ethics that I want in someone I want to work with. So anyway, completed the interview. That's fine. Next person came in, all good. And then the fourth person, all good. So I still laugh about it. When I tell people this, they go, what? And I go, yeah. Yes. And she was sharing it, that it was a great thing because she got to know the budgets of people, and that was really great for the vendors because they get more money. And I'm thinking, no, it's not. That is so unethical. Anyway, so the other thing is I tell my clients everything. So we have conducted the interview process. As part of that, they tell us what their commission is, their marketing expenses, everything. We put it together in a comparison table for the client, and send that through to them, and then sit down and have a conversation and saying, these are the agents we spoke to, this is what was said, and we provide our opinion because the client asks for our opinion. End of the day, it is the client's decision as to whom they choose to appoint. And so, look, sometimes I say, hey, look, you just choose. But I give them the summary of how they answered the questions. I do share what my opinion is, but ultimately they can choose whomever they wish to choose. So I came down to 2 real estate agents, not including the chick that breaches privacy. No, they said, no, we're not interested in working with her. Go figure. So it came down to 2. And one was from the 12-month surfing around agent, and one was one of the ones that I brought in to have a conversation. So I said, I think it's between these 2. And they said, oh, well, we're happy for you to decide who you think is going to be the best agent for the property. I said, all right, okay, I'll have a think about it. So I actually sat with it for 24 hours to think about who I thought, follow my gut on who I thought would be the best agency to work with for this particular sale. And it was actually very, very close. But ultimately, I chose one particular agent. It was actually the one that I brought in. Lovely guy, really nice guy. And funnily enough, I'll tell you a funny story, because I've been doing this for 28 years. And years ago, so when I first left corporate, I was a senior IT project manager. So I was managing, I had a team of 36 managing with a $45 million budget. And I started getting super stressed, and that's why I stopped doing that and I started in real estate. But one of the things I started with was I started an education company showing women how to get started in real estate. And we did tele seminars back there, webinars, tele seminars. They'd be called podcasts these days. One of the people that I interviewed way back then, actually was this real estate agent. I didn't realize until later. I didn't put 2 and 2 together at the time when I did this interview process. It was actually later on, after we'd sold the houses, everything. Later on, when we were doing some decluttering here at home, because you have to declutter, we were doing some declutter, and we were going through some paperwork, and I found all the old folders of the interviews, because we used to get them transcribed and printed them out back in the day. And I had interviewed this real estate agent, and when he was a young whippersnapper, one of his first jobs, he used to pick up rubbish at the MCG. That's what he was a real go-getter from the start. So he would do whatever he needed to do to earn money, get going. And I was reading the transcript, because I recognized the name. I'm reading the transcript about one of his first jobs. How funny is that? It's really, really interesting how your lives just intertwine. Anyway, back to real estate. So this particular property agent got appointed. Now, I spoke before about some of the agents, because they throw each other under the bus kind of thing, I always ring the agents that have missed out back, and I have a conversation. I don't just flick them a text or an email. They get a follow-up email after I've spoken to them to say that they've missed the business. But I will ring them, and I'll say to them, look, lovely to meet you, etc. But I'm sorry you didn't win the business, and have a conversation with them. Or I'll leave, if it goes to voicemail, I'll leave a message to say that you've not won the business. Feel free to give me a call back. Interestingly, a lot of them don't call back, which I find interesting, because you know what? We sell houses all the time. There might be another opportunity down the track, but you don't ring me back. Okay. Many do ring me back, and want feedback, and I do provide the feedback that has been provided in the decision-making process. So I do that after I've spoken to the real estate agent that's won the business. So I ring the real estate agent and I say, congratulations, and we start going through the process, and I get the paperwork signed. We do that and have everything signed up. Then I will make the calls to the people that have missed out. That's just the process that we follow, because my experience has shown it just makes it easier. The decision's been made, it's already done, and then we let you know that you've missed the business. So what happened this is interesting. As I said, it was a very close decision between these two agents, and I decided to go with the agent that I had introduced. But there was the other agent that had been getting in touch with the clients over the previous 12 months. Now, the challenge sometimes for us in that scenario is oftentimes that real estate agent will have the contact details of our client. So we don't give out the contact details to the real estate agent. We don't do it when we're buying properties. We don't do it when we're selling properties, because we're stepping in to alleviate that stress for our client. We are the person that the real estate agent is working with, and so it's our job to protect our client from any shenanigans. It's what we do. And you'll see on all of my my little shares here that I'm doing, there's a lot of shenanigans. So that particular real estate agent missed out. He had the contact details of our client. I can't do anything about that. He's already got it saved. So I had spoken to the agent that had won the business, all great, and we started that process of getting that all signed up, and that's all fine. I then rang the 3 real estate agents that missed out. This particular agent, the message went to voicemail, and I said, hi, such and such, thanks for your time. Just unfortunately this time you've missed out on this particular property. And so I left that as a voicemail. And then I was on the phone, I think to the real estate agent that I was on a phone call anyway. And I hang up the phone call and I get a text message from my client, and they go, that real estate agent has got in touch with him. Got in touch directly with my client. So I've told the real estate agent you've missed the business. He has rung the client. So I ring my client. I said, I go, okay, he's got in touch with, if he contacts you again, don't speak to him, etc. And I said, what happened? And he said, he had him on the phone for 12 minutes. 12 minutes throwing the other agent under the bus. And I said, did you say to him which agent got appointed? And he said, yes, I did. Because that's the other thing we say, don't say who the agent is appointed for this reason. And they'll often ask, and I say, look, I'm not going to let you know. You'll know once the property gets advertised, etc. Because of these reasons, of the shenanigans that goes on. So this agent has rung my client. I've left him a message saying, you've missed the business, give me a call back. He hasn't rung me. He's rung the client and spent 12 minutes on the phone absolutely throwing this other agent under the bus. And my client, Bob Pork, he's the loveliest man. And he's got this agent going blah, 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 blah at him for 12 minutes about why he's made the wrong decision and he should have picked him. And rah. Can you just imagine it? Just imagine it. And I said, okay, no, that's all good. That's all good. If he rings you again, either don't take the call, but if you do pick up not realising it's him, just say, look, you've got to speak to Wendy. I'm not going to speak to you anymore. You've got to speak to Wendy. Right. So my next call, who do you think I rang next? Okay. Get the agent that the one that has rung my client and grilled him for 12 minutes about him not being selected. I go, hi. And he goes, hi, Wendy. How are you? I said, I'm fine, and I need you not to ring my client. Oh, okay, yes. Oh, I just did blah, blah, blah. And I said, I know what you did. I know what you did. I need you not to ring my client. Thank you. It's like, oh, okay. Do you not think my clients tell me what happens? My clients tell me all the time what happens. I tell my clients what happens. So there's no secret squirrel stuff going on here. It's just, it makes me laugh. So that's the kind of stuff that goes on. And this is why our clients work with us. So they had no interest in being involved in the process of interviewing the agents. That's my job, and my team's job is to organise the time, sit down with the real estate agent, ask them all the questions, because it's not just, oh, hey, how you going, la-di-da. We're going, okay, what is this? What is this? What is this? How do you do this? What's your thing? We're actually asking the key questions, because I want to know, why are you the best person for the job? Yes, you might be wangle-fangle, you might have a huge board presence around, because that's a strategy for one real estate agency. They will go in and they'll pitch business and they'll do super low commissions, so they get all these boards everywhere. And I'll talk to a client and I'll say, oh, I see these boards everywhere. Should we talk to them? I said, yeah, but they're not selling the properties. They're just listing them super low because of all the boards. So it's about knowing the area and what is going on inside of real estate. And so that's very, very interesting. And a further footnote to being interesting. A few weeks later, I was inspecting a property. We had an auction, actually, an auction, and I was talking to the real estate agents about this particular property sale, and this particular property was with a different agency, and they said, oh, well, you know, you should have invited us in. We didn't get a go, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, well, you didn't, because I did my research and I chose others to interview and you weren't in the mix there. And they go, who'd you go with? And I said who it was. And they said, oh, yeah, good operator. You'll have a good sale. And I said, here's a funny story. What happened with this other person? And they go, oh, yeah, no, he's this, this, and this. Yeah, you dodged a bullet there, blah, blah, blah. So isn't that interesting that people in the industry know what goes on and the shenanigans that goes on. So anyway, that just reaffirmed the decision. We made the correct decision, obviously, and that's excellent. And the property was on the market. Look, by the time we got it to market and did the auction and everything, as I said, the market had significantly changed by this time. So that's unfortunate. That's just timing in the market. So if they'd actually sold it when we first got in touch, so I think over the time it was a process of 9 to 12 months, I think it took for them to get their home ready, in their eyes, ready to get it sold. And I've been touching base along the whole way saying, look, the market is changing. It's starting to come off a bit. And so because of that, they probably didn't get the result that they otherwise would have if we first started. But look, everybody has to do things in their own timeline, own time frame. And I will always say to my clients, I'll never make you sell your property. If for whatever reason you choose not to sell your property, that's fine. We'll just we won't sell your home. There's no pressure tactics or anything like that. If for whatever reason, change of circumstances, you're not getting your price, whatever it might be, because that was a discussion we were having with them, is that particular price, it wasn't their dream price. And I said to them, look, if you don't want to sell the house, we don't sell the house. We don't have to sell the house. Just make that decision, have a conversation. And they were having lots of conversations. The agent was out of the room. We were having conversations about, this is where today and the foreseeable future, which it was, the price dropped massively after the market tanked after that. And we had that conversation saying, well, look, this is the price today that we can achieve for your property. It's likely to get worse from the market perspective, so you'll get less. If you don't want to sell, don't sell. But you're probably going to have to hold it for the foreseeable future for the market to kick back up again. So if you've got some goals you need to achieve or things you wish to do, put that in the mix, because if that involves selling your house, you need to sell your house today. Well, then that's what you've got to do. But understand that if you don't want to do that, we will just take it off the market and we won't sell it. And so they made the decision that, yes, they wanted to move on. And so the property got sold and that was all great. So that's just an example of some of the shenanigans. Some of the shenanigans that goes on in real estate. I did mention one of my previous episodes about one of the other vendors having a few drinks before the auction. I might look at that in one of the future episodes. But if you'd like some further information about getting supported when it comes to buying a property or selling a property, get in touch. Chamberlain Property Advocates, it's what we do. We support our clients through that buying process and also through the selling process. If you may not be located locally, we are licensed in Victoria and in Tasmania. We just recently got our Tasmanian license, which is very exciting. I do have a Get Started in Property mentoring program. So what that is, it's a self-paced learning program on how you too can understand and get confident to buy real estate. So the website for that is getstartedinproperty.com.au, and you basically, it's a monthly program. We drop 2 modules a month and you follow the bouncing ball. And it's self-paced learning. So if you want to go gangbusters and learn all the modules, you can do that. Or if you just want to look at those pockets, in the pockets of your time, look at the modules and understand all of the processes, all the moving parts that happen when it comes to buying real estate, this is the program that's going to support you, because you may have the time or may wish to educate yourself about what it takes to buy real estate. I mentioned that I was a senior IT project manager, and so I'm very good at being able to manage the plates, manage the balls and everything like that. And I think that is why I am so good at what I do with buyer advocacy, because there are so many moving parts and you need to know what the moving parts are, but more than that, the order in which these moving parts have to be done. And one of the reasons that we are so successful when it comes to buying real estate is that we know what to do. We know how to line all the ducks up, do the due diligence and get it done. And the quickest for me to buy a property for a client is 1 day. 1 day, because I know what I'm doing. We know what we're doing. And so I know all the steps. And so under the scenarios like that, all the steps, the clauses we need to have in there to protect our client, because you can do it. You can buy a property in 1 day, just pop in a bunch of clauses that are going to protect the interests of our client and make sure that everything is going to be watertight for our client. This is what we do. So chamberlainadvocates.com.au is our website to find out more about our buyer advocacy. Getstartedinproperty.com.au if you want to look at some self-paced learning. Any questions? Reach out on our socials or send us an email. Go to our website and you can contact us there. Welcome any of your questions. Real estate. I love real estate, as you can tell. And always lots of fun, lots of fun. So any questions, any particular topics you'd like me to cover, get in touch and we can look at covering those in a future episode. So that's it for now. So glad that you could join me and we'll chat again soon. Bye-bye for now.